Before we dive in, Commanders fans, hit that like button, subscribe to Commanders HQ, and turn on those notifications so you never miss a beat. You know the drill. This is your spot for all things burgundy and gold, from trades to training camp, standouts. And today, we've got a jam-packed update. Luke McCaffrey is balling out at minicamp. Noah Brown just suffered a possible major injury, and Terry McLaurin is still holding out. Let's unpack everything. Because this WR room just became a pressure cooker. If you thought the Commanders' wide receiver battle was already intense, the pressure just skyrocketed. We're now looking at a three-headed headline. Terry McLaurin, your WR1, is holding out of mandatory minicamp. Veteran Noah Brown just got carted off the field during Wednesday's 7-on-7 drills. And Luke McCaffrey quietly climbing the ranks and taking full advantage of the chaos. Let's start with what happened today. Noah Brown, who was penciled in as a reliable target for Jaden Daniels, went down in practice. Washington Post's Nikki Jabvala reported, Brown slammed his helmet in frustration before being carted off, a sign this may not be just a tweak. The play, routine. But the aftermath looked anything but. And for a guy who had one of the most memorable plays of last season, the walk-off Hail Mary against the Bears, this is heartbreaking. But here's where it gets interesting. With McLaurin holding out and Brown potentially sidelined, second-year wideout Luke McCaffrey has kicked his development into overdrive. During Tuesday's opening minicamp session, McCaffrey lit it up. Reports out of Ashburn say he was one of the standout players of the day. Crisp roots, reliable hands, and growing chemistry with Jaden Daniels. His highlight? Beating four-time Pro Bowl cornerback Marshawn Lattimore for a massive gain. Sold. Him on a fake created separation and hold in a big-time catch. That's not just a flash play. That's a message. I belong. Remember, McCaffrey's still raw. He was the number 100 pick in the 2024 NFL Draft after transitioning from quarterback to wide receiver at Rice. But insiders say he's been a sponge, learning quickly, working with his all-pro brother Christian McCaffrey in the offseason, and absorbing coaching from Bobby Slowick's system like a vet. Why does this breakout matter so much right now? Simple. Jaden Daniels needs reliable, trustworthy targets. The Commanders made it a priority this offseason to surround their rookie QB with a deeper, more dangerous arsenal. Deebo Samuel Sr., Michael Gallup, and rookie Jalen Lane were all brought in to do just that. But now, with Brown hurt and McLaurin, in a contract standoff, Luke McCaffrey's consistency becomes vital. Head coach Dan Quinn praised McCaffrey's work ethic earlier this week. And there's growing belief that he's putting himself in position to be more than just a depth piece. This isn't a nice story. This could be your WR3 or higher come week 1. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, Terry McLaurin's holdout. The veteran wideout officially became a holdout this week by not reporting to mandatory minicamp. With just 1 year left on his deal and his 30th birthday approaching in September, McLaurin is looking to cash in. Again. Dan Quinn addressed it bluntly. Sometimes football and business intersect. This is one of those times. Terry is a fantastic teammate. But here's the truth. Washington's front office, led by GM Adam Peters, is playing this smart. Peters comes from San Francisco, where they're famous for letting negotiations run deep into the summer before signing off. Just ask Nick Bosa. And with McLaurin racking up 5 straight 1,000-yard seasons, plus a career-high 13 TDs last year, the Commanders know he's worth it. But with his age and physical playstyle, they're wary of committing long-term, especially with younger weapons rising. Brown's injury, though, that could accelerate the timeline. Losing 2 top receivers heading into camp would put too much stress on a developing QB like Daniels. McLaurin has leverage. He just might be using it now. For longtime fans, McLaurin's move echoes past holdouts in franchise history. Remember John Riggins in 1980? He sat out the season, lost arbitration, and didn't see a bump in pay until later. In 1991, after the Super Bowl win, 4 key players, including Mark Rypien and Darrell Green, held out. Each ended up settling in the middle. McLaurin's no stranger to this kind of pressure. But in this WR room, things change fast. Jalen Lane is flashing speed. Deebo Samuel's becoming a locker room leader. Gallup is proving he still has gas in the tank. And now, Luke McCaffrey's ascending. This isn't a situation where Washington needs to panic. It's a situation where they need to evaluate. And quickly. It's mid-June, and that means mandatory minicamp is in full swing in Ashburn. And let's be real, expectations are high this year. After a 2024 season that ended just short of the Super Bowl, the Commanders are no longer flying under the radar. This is a team with a franchise quarterback in Jaden Daniels, a new culture under Dan Quinn, and a front office that isn't afraid to make bold moves, thanks to GM Adam Peters. Everything about this offseason has been about raising the floor and ceiling of this roster. From fortifying the offensive line to loading up on pass catchers, Peters has tried to give Daniels every chance to take another leap in year 2. But just as things were heating up at minicamp, a tough setback hit the wide receiver room. During Wednesday's practice, veteran wide receiver Noah Brown went down during 7-on-7 drills. And according to multiple reports, including Washington Post insider Nikki Jabvala, Brown had to be carted off the field after throwing his helmet in frustration. That's usually a telltale sign that the injury might be significant. We don't have a final diagnosis yet, but it didn't look good. Now let's be honest, Brown might not be a household name, but he was quietly one of the more dependable veterans in last year's offense. His 35 catches for 453 yards included one of the plays of the year, a 52-yard walk-off Hail Mary against the Bears. But just as important was his physical presence, his blocking, and his ability to bring toughness to the perimeter. So if Brown is lost for any amount of time, it's more than just depth. It's leadership, experience, and a role player who did the dirty work that doesn't show up in fantasy stats. Now here's where things get tricky. Because Noah Brown wasn't just penciled in for a depth role. He was likely going to start in 3 WR sets. And if you look at the current state of the receiver room without him, and with Terry McLaurin still holding out, suddenly things look very uncertain. Deebo Samuel Sr. is the biggest name, and he's a beast, no question. But his chemistry with Jaden Daniels is still a work in progress. Then there's Luke McCaffrey, who's been flashing at minicamp and turning heads with his route running and effort. But let's be honest, he's still a second-year player transitioning to the NFL level. After that, you've got Michael Gallup, who hasn't caught a pass in a real game since 2023, and KJ Osborne, a reliable slot option but not a true boundary weapon. Then there's rookie Jalen Lane, who's shown quickness but isn't ready for a starting load. The result? If Brown's injury is long-term and McLaurin stays out, this goes from a deep room to one of the most vulnerable spots on the roster. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, Terry McLaurin, the captain, the 5-time 1,000-yard receiver, the heart and soul of the offense. McLaurin has skipped the entire offseason program while he waits for a new contract. And let's be clear, he's earned it. After posting 82 catches, over 1,100 yards, and a career-high 13 touchdowns last season, there's no doubt he's still one of the elite WRs in football. But up to now, the front office has been slow playing negotiations. They've had time. They've been focused on rookies, free agents, depth signings, cap structure. You know the drill. Noah Brown's injury may change that calculus. Fast. Because without McLaurin and Brown, you're asking a new QB-WR combo in Daniels and Deebo to do all the heavy lifting, while young and unproven wideouts try to figure it out on the fly. That's a recipe for regression, not progress, in year 2 of Jaden Daniels' development. This is where the urgency kicks in. The Commanders. We're already walking a fine line between building for the future and winning now. And with their expectations sky high heading into 2025, the last thing they need is for a contract standoff to derail offensive chemistry before week 1 even kicks off. If you're Adam Peters, you now have real leverage to move things forward. With McLaurin's camp. Whether it's a short-term bridge deal or a long-term extension, the message is clear. You can't afford to let this linger. Brown's absence removes the margin for error. It puts too much pressure on Daniels, on Debo, on unproven weapons like McCaffrey, Lane, or even undrafted guys like Ja'Cory Brooks. Bottom line? If you want to hit the ground running in September, get McLaurin back in the building before. TrainingCamp.Commanders fans, we've seen this story before. You lose a key contributor, and suddenly, the guy holding out becomes even more essential. Terry McLaurin isn't just a luxury. He's the foundation of your passing game. So let's hope the Noah Brown injury isn't too serious. But if it is, then there's no more time for waiting. It's time for Adam Peters to pick up the phone, finalize the numbers, and show 17 that he's not just valued, he's vital. We've come too far since last year's playoff run to let a contract dispute throw a wrench into the 2025 campaign. So here's the Commanders' HQ final take. If Noah Brown's injury is long-term, McCaffrey's momentum becomes crucial. If McLaurin holds out deep into July, don't be shocked if Adam Peters makes a strategic pivot, either with a new deal or a WR trade. And if Luke McCaffrey keeps stacking days like this, he might go from roster lock to impact starter before the season even kicks off. What do you think, Commanders fans? Should the front office lock up McLaurin right now? Are you buying into Luke McCaffrey's rise? And if Brown's out, who do you want to see step up next? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, and subscribe to Commanders. HQ for your daily dose of Washington football with no fluff, just facts, insight, and passion. Until next time, HTTC, and we'll see you at camp.